Lewis Hamilton had an amazing race. He gained about 8 places, earned driver of the day, started 12th, ended in 4th. You know, I wasn't expecting anything from Lewis Hamilton during that race, but I was just going to be satisfied to watch what happened. And what happened was actually amazing. Now, you might notice that the background that I chose looks really terrible, and that's because it's fake. It's not. I'm not in the studio. Matter of fact, I'm actually in my Bronco, which is really good because it brings me to my next point. We'll get back to Formula One here in just 1 second, but I want to pause to address one piece of good automotive news, and that is that the EPA is actually going to roll back the hated start-stop feature that it's not been mandated in all cars, but it's been showing up everywhere. So there's an article from Forbes. I'm going to read a little bit for you. And so, for those who have ever stopped at an intersection only for their car to fall silent and then jolt back to life moments later, relief might be on the horizon. Lee Zeldin, the administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency, is proposing a rollback of federal incentives. Remember, it's not a rule, it's an incentive. Federal incentives that helped push automatic engine start-stop systems into millions of vehicles on U.S. roads. Zeldin made the announcement via social media Monday, saying the feature was where your car dies at every red light. So companies get a climate participation trophy. He added, EPA approved it and everyone hates it, so we're fixing it. That's amazing because, once again, companies, well, my eyeballs look crazy. No, they look normal. I think it's the glasses. Anyway, you know, manufacturers, government entities, all that kind of stuff, they're starting to get back to this place where they're like, oh, let's listen to what the customers want. And so, you know, my Bronco, this car I'm sitting in right now, it's got that feature, and I turn it off every single time I get in the car. It's a pain in the butt. And, you know, the thing that I'm thinking is that, you know, now that it's a rule, kind of, that we don't need these things anymore, I'm exploring, like, what kind of button can I turn this into? Right now, it's that auto start, you know, turn off button. You know, maybe I can put some nitrous in here, and maybe it's like the go baby go button. Or maybe it's like a light dimmer. Or maybe it turns the stereo up to 30 so I don't have to like actually twist my wrist. But anyway, we gotta make use of this button because, you know, if all goes well, this thing is going to be useless. Now, let's get back to Formula One. Actually, wait, there's one more sentence. Context, one more paragraph rather. Automatic start-stop technology became popular in large part due to fuel economy and emissions regulations introduced during the Obama administration. Initially introduced by European car makers in hybrid vehicles over the past decade, it became common across many new models, including SUVs and pickup trucks. While it is not mandated in new cars, it's been widely adopted due to federal fuel standard incentives. So basically, they're like, hey, guess what? We'll pay you to put this crap feature into every car. And, you know, the EPA has been smacking people down, smacking companies down. So, of course, if you can get like a little kickback for putting a stupid button in the car, of course you're going to take it because you're getting smacked around the place for just making regular standard cars. All right, so anyway, let's get back to Formula One. All right. Lando Norris started in 4th, ended in 2nd. Piastri started in 1st, ended in 4th. and Piastri still holds on to the Drivers' Champion lead. So Piastri has 146 points, Norris has 133, and Verstappen 124. Now, if you're wondering, what am I doing with my arm? I got a laptop here. I got notes. Usually at home in my studio, I have a whiteboard, and I can look at this, and I got my laptop, and I can look at that, and I'm just kind of like cross-referencing, and I'm looking into the camera. I'm actually outside, so the sun is kind of bright, but, you know, that's what's going on. So if you see me kind of reaching over here, that's why. Now, I got to give Verstappen some credit. Like, he had an extremely brave, well-raced lap one, turn one overtake. And so here's the thing. Piastri was trying to defend against George Russell. And in that defense of George Russell, Verstappen kind of veered over to the right. And Verstappen's one of those guys. If you give him an inch, he's going to take about 20 miles. And that's exactly what he did. So in Formula One, in McLaren's briefings, they got to get to the point where they're like, hey, Oscar, if you see George Russell behind you and you see Max Verstappen behind you and you feel like you got to make a choice, always defend against Max Verstappen, because in 2025, for some reason or another, their Mercedes cars just don't have the pace to finish the race. That rhymed. That was pretty good. That's pretty good. They don't have the pace to finish the race. But anyway, all that means is that if you let Verstappen by, he's going to keep going. He's going to win the race. If you let George Russell by or Kimi Antonelli by, not because they're bad drivers, but because Mercedes just doesn't have the pace to finish the race, bing, let them go. There's a chance you can reel them in later on. But guess what? You're not going to reel in Max Verstappen in his RB21. Now, with that said, I got to say this. I don't want to ever hear anybody talking about a slow RB21 ever again. Because Max Verstappen, what, he finished the race? Well, if it wasn't for the safety car at whatever, lap 46 or whatever, he would have finished the race at, 20 seconds, ahead of everybody else, 18 seconds ahead of everybody else, just like old times. So I'm done hearing about the RB21 being a slow car. I think they had some development woes in the beginning of the season, but they're not here anymore. The development woes are solved. It's a fast freaking car right now. All right, let's get into to some other stuff. So Ferrari had a much better race than I'd expected them to have. Charles Leclerc ended the race in 6th. Hamilton ended the race in 4th, despite the duo starting the race in 11th and 12th, respectively. So a little bit of a side note. Mercedes has been renowned for their ability to make engines for, their power unit stuff. Like, different people have different stuff. Like, Red Bull is really good at aero, or at least they were before Adrian Newey left. Ferrari's really good at, social media. And Mercedes was good at power units. To see Kimi Antonelli's car die, I think it was like lap 46 or something, that was kind of, kind of shocking, and it makes me wonder if Mercedes is going to have some problems, later on in the season. Now, it took Lewis Hamilton 34 laps to get past Kimi Antonelli, but once he did, he picked off Isaac Hadjar in quick succession, which means that Hamilton, I feel like, has a little bit more in the gas tank than he's letting on, but that's a whole different story. Let's go into what happened with Charles Leclerc. So lap 46, Antonelli's engine died, bringing on a long safety car. Leclerc only had soft tires that wouldn't have made it to the end of the race. So Ferrari left him out on ancient hard tires. I think the tires were like 18 laps old by the time the safety car was done. The tires were like 1,000 laps old. There's no way this guy was surviving 10 laps against Alex Albon in a remarkably fast Williams car. So then safety car ends at lap 54. There's 10 laps to go, and Leclerc was trying to survive constant attacks by Alex Albon, and finally by the last lap, Alex got him. So meanwhile, Lewis Hamilton is on fresh tires, and he was just making mad overtakes on the rest of the grid. And also a further meanwhile, lap 58, Lando Norris overtakes Oscar Piastri. Lewis Hamilton's battle with Albon gave Leclerc a little bit of a stay of execution, but eventually Albon did get passed. So of note, Red Bull did an outstanding job. I do have to say that part out loud. I was talking about Ferrari and Williams and McLaren, but it does kind of make me wonder if Red Bull had have signed Yuki Tsunoda at the beginning of the season instead of signing Liam Lawson, would they be in, like, I don't know, second place by now in the Constructors Championship? And I gotta give Yuki Tsunoda another shout out. I mean, the place results are not telling the full story of Yuki Tsunoda right now. He's doing a bang up job. I mean, he had an absolutely devastating crash during qualification, and then he came back literally the very next day like a freaking G. And I can't remember what place he landed in. I think maybe he even got in the points, but the fact that you can crash a car at almost 200 miles an hour, or pop out like you just parked your Volkswagen Passat at a Trader Joe's for some freaking Hot Pockets or something. The fact that he was able to do that and then race his heart out the next day, you know, you got to admire the guy. And you also have to admire the engineering work and stuff that has gone into Formula One safety technology, because had that been 1994, I'm pretty sure Yuki Tsunoda would have been dead. That's real stuff. That's real stuff. I think, you know, remember when Max Verstappen went off-roading on Lewis Hamilton's head? I think Lewis Hamilton would have been dead. So when the Halo system first came out, oh, sorry, Audi R8. Ooh, old school. I bet it's a manual transmission. Nice. Anyway, I was kind of not a fan of the Halo device because to me, it kind of looked like a sandal, like a useless freaking sandal sitting there on top of Formula One car. And turns out it's a freaking lifesaver, like literally. So one last shout out that I got to give, and that is to Lando Norris. Lando Norris handled himself like a G. He was passing like a G, and he really got his elbows out. Now, you've heard me say before that Lando Norris is the faster driver, but Oscar Piastri is the better driver. And what I mean by that is Oscar Piastri is a little bit more, or historically has been a little bit more of a 0 F's given driver. Once he kind of got past the whole, you know, pomp and circumstance of being the number 2 driver over at McLaren, and then watching Lando Norris get overtaken lap 1, turn 1, he finally was like, you know what, I'm gonna do it. But in this race, Lando Norris showed that he has those skills too. So if Lando Norris has a mindset shift and he starts overtaking people and driving like the madman that I know he can be, then the battle of the McLaren drivers is not over yet, because Lando Norris, already being the faster driver, could also turn into the better driver, putting Oscar Piastri back into second driver position. So we're gonna have to wait. We're gonna have to watch and see, see what happens. And, for that reason and many other reasons, I have to say that 2025 is turning into an amazing, amazing Formula One season. I can't wait to see what happens in 2026. Let's see. Do I have any more notes? I don't have any more notes. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm in the Bronco. I don't have my AC on because it would mess with the sound. I don't have the radio on. I don't have the windows down, so I'm roasting in here. Like, thank goodness I'm not in Texas right now, because if I was in Texas, I'd be sweating bullets, and there's no way I could finish this video because I'm not. And I will reveal my location at the end of the week, but because I'm not, I was able to film in this here Bronco. And whatever, I'm rambling now. Thanks for watching. I've been Dalton. This has been the Petrolist, and you have been great. I'm out.